Drop a like if you're a fan of Storage Wars. Hey there everyone, what's up and welcome back to another video on Film Vert. Storage Wars is a great show, but the cast has some shady vibes to them. With engaging in top scandals and picking fights, there have been some major conflicts on the set of the show. All of this accounts for prime entertainment, so for today we'll be looking at the biggest fights on Storage Wars. But before we begin, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on anything. Okay, let's begin. Number 5. Renee gets in it with the new kid. You'll see later that Renee and Dave Hester have a knack for conflict. In this case, when this new kid arrives on the set of Storage Wars, with very little know-how of the art of bidding, Renee constantly picked on him. He called him out for being oblivious and tried to sell him off some of his unwanted tips. Renee constantly nagged him. He asked the guy to keep his mouth shut, and the most important thing at the auction is to have cash. He then proceeded to criticize millennials. When the kid fired back at him saying if he finds a wheelchair, he'll get it for Renee. Renee pushed him backward, and when the guy retaliated, Renee threw his hands up shouting, "Whoa!" and acting all innocent. Actions hadn't even started and Renee was already on someone's nerves. The others told Renee to back off before this escalates into something more.
Hey, don't push me.
You give him some space there, Renee.
Don't push me like that.
Number 4. Dave threatens Renee. Although Renee pisses everyone off, when it comes to being against Dave, the Dotsons pair up with Renee to light the fire. When Dave entered with his van advertising Dave as the best auctioneer, Renee made fun of him, asking how much trouble would it cost if he slashed his tires. Dave described his plans for the day to destroy everyone. Dave wasn't in on getting in with someone else, but Renee just wouldn't stop nagging him. When Renee went to talk to an old man, Dave shouted that if the old man's annoyed, he can get rid of Renee for him, further threatening Renee, saying that he'd punch him. Renee turned up defensive and was about to push away Dave, muttering not to threaten him again. Before it went further, people pushed him away while Dave Hester looked unbothered.
You're like a little dark ass motherfucker.
Why you get so freaky out, man?
Number 3. Neck to neck with Renee and Dave. I think you get it, that Dave and Renee never get along. Renee was getting on Sheet's nerves and constantly calling them off, but they seemed to be enjoying pissing Renee off until Casey told them to turn away. Renee showed Dave a finger when both parties seemed very determined to get the particular locker they were bidding for. When Renee bought a locker for $250, Hester challenged him if he could get anything significant out of it. Both men seemed to be pretty heated after Renee told him to shut up, and were pretty close, only inches away from starting a fist fight. With throwing cuss words at each other and boiling with anger, the two seemed ready to throw a few punches, but were pulled apart by other people standing there.
I guess we didn't get anything today. Like, you really should have helped me out. That couch set will be awesome on my website. That's great.
Number 2. Dave and Brandon's slander. I told you that Hester and Renee have a knack for trouble. When Darrell and Jarrett seemed engrossed in bidding for a locker, Darrell was determined to not let it slip while Brandi looked like she was done with it. After successfully acquiring the locker, Darrell was pumped. When everyone took a look at their locker, Hester was warned to move his head or they'll just shut it with him in there. Brandon didn't stop there and continued to press Hester's buttons, casually throwing insults at his face. Hester also called him some bad words, both of them threatening to end each other. Darrell, who was standing in front of Brandon, moved away to give his son more space, saying that Brandon will kill him. Hester then told Brandon that he's got no one to protect because his daddy left him, but Brandon just wanted to knock the hell out of him. Although they didn't engage in any physical fight, the conversation itself looked heated.
Do something,
You gonna shut it for me or what?
you, okay? Now what?
I don't have time to waste on you.
Number 1. Hester and Dawson's legendary face-off. If you've watched every episode of Storage Wars, there's no way you can forget this. This iconic fight occurred when Dan failed to acknowledge Dave and Mary's bid and didn't admit his mistake to Dave, although he apologized to Mary. When Dave Hester called for a re-auction, Dan didn't proceed. Dave kept throwing insults, sparking a fire, and the next moment you see Dan on Dave's neck beating the hell out of him. This wasn't it, because Laura jumped in and ended up with a scratched face. Honestly, if you watch this video again, I bet you'll laugh again. This is the most notable confrontation that has ever happened on Storage Wars.
Oh, real fight.
Really? That's it!
In case you haven't figured out the pattern yet, you will always find Dave Hester and Renee in the middle of any conflict on the show. Anyways, the show is really funny when anything like this happens. You might say the show is scripted, but even if it is, they did a good job faking it. This brings us to the end of our video, and we really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then let us know by liking the video. Stick around for more amazing content, as we will soon be seeing you in another video. Until then, take care and goodbye.